This is one of the exams questions on the set, and I believe what you have to know to understand this problem is how to add as well as how to multiply and then subtract. So those are the tools that you need to tackle this type of problem. So here's the question. They say you should evaluate, right? Evaluate or simplify. So that's the question. Having 1 minus root 2 all over root 5 minus root 3. Everything subtracted by 1 plus root 2 all over root 5 plus what, root 3. So that is the question. Okay, so they say you should simplify or work on this. So how do you solve this? As I said earlier, you need to know how to subtract, add and multiply for you to be able to overcome this challenge. So let's dive into the solution and check that. This just looks similar to something like a simple fraction. So how do you subtract a fraction, right? So assuming you are having something like 1 over 2 minus, let's say 1 over x, right? Or maybe let's say 1 over 4. Is that okay? So how do you solve this type of question? So this is just similar to something like this. If you know how to solve this, you should be able to know how to solve this type of problem. Is that okay? Here, of course, you need to find the least common multiple. That is the LCM. Is that okay? So the LCM here will be 4. Is that okay? What will happen if you have here by x? This is a fraction, so this is one term, this is also another term, so we are going to subtract them. How do you do that? So you need to have the two here is that you find the LCM, which is the least common multiple, and then you proceed with your calculation. Is that okay? The same applies to the method here, so don't let these numbers scare you. Right? So let's dive into the solution and check that. So you're having that. Of course, you need to get the LCM. Is that okay? So I have a reason why I use the red pen and the blue pen to indicate the subtraction and the addition sign over here. So what will be the LCM? So the LCM here will be what? Everything here. Is that okay? Everything down here. So that will be what? Root 5 minus what? Root 3. Everything to bracket, and then root 5 plus what? Root 3. This one will give us the LCM. So how do you subtract fraction? What do? You pick the LCM. The LCM will go into what? Here, how many times? Of course, this guy and this guy will cancel out. Is that okay? So this guy and that one will cancel out. Then use that your answer. You are left with this. Multiply by the top one. The way you just do the subtraction and addition of what? A fraction. The same process. Right? So this guy and this guy will cancel. So we are left with this, which is what? 1 minus root 5. And then multiply by 1 of what? The denominator. Is that okay? So the same applies to the second one. So don't forget that you have a subtraction sign over here. So minus what? Minus what? So this one will cancel this. So we are left with this and that. Can you see that? We are left with this one and that. So that will be what? Plus what? 1 plus root 2, all multiplied by what? Root 5 minus what? Root 3. Is that okay? Of course, everything divided by the LCM. So from here, you proceed with the multiplication and addition and subtractions of set. If you don't know how to do that, just consider watching that video and come back and comment. So let's move on. So what do you do? This is a 2 bracket being multiplied by each other. So 1 multiplied by this one will give you what? Root 5 here, and then the same one multiplied by the second one. Is that okay? So that will be what? Root plus what? Root 3 over here. Right? So let's move on. Then you are going to pick the second one and then to multiply the same bracket. Is that okay? So root minus root 2. Minus, there's a minus here. Is that okay? So the minus, the sign in front of the number is what belongs to that number. So minus what? Root 2 is going to multiply what? Everything in the second bracket. So minus root 2 times root 5. Is that okay? How do you multiply? That is one thing you have to know. You multiply the number under the square root sign. Is that okay? So that will be 2 times 5. That will give me what? Minus root 10 over here. The same thing, minus root 2 is going to multiply the second number, which is what? A positive root what? 3. So that will give me what? So minus times the positive here, the sign will change to be what? A negative what? Root 6. Is that okay? Don't forget to put everything into bracket because of the minus sign. Now we are having minus being separated by the two numbers at the top here. So here is the minus over here. Then I have to put the second one into bracket to avoid any mistake of what? Minus and the positive. So let's multiply the second bracket. Of course, the way I multiply the first one, that's the same way you have to multiply the second one. So this one is going to multiply everything, and then the root 2 also multiply everything in the second bracket. Is that okay? So when you multiply perfectly, you arrive at what? Root 5 minus what? Root 3 plus what? Root 10 minus what? Root 6. right? So the down one to the same thing. When you multiply the same thing, the same process I used to multiply the first one is the same idea that you are going to use to multiply what everything over here, since you are dealing with two different what brackets. Now let's check the denominator. So when you multiply the denominator, you're going to get root 25 plus what? Root 15 minus what? Root 15 minus root 9. Is that okay? Now let's proceed on. Let's take off the bracket. Of course, we don't have any problem with the first bracket, as you can see. But here, don't pay a close attention. Right here, you're having a minus sign. So the minus is going to affect everything inside the bracket, right? Just like if you have a number in front of the bracket, that number has to multiply everything in what? In the bracket. So yeah, there's a minus 1 here. Is that okay? So minus 1 times this one. So I repeated the first bracket. So from here, I have root 5 plus what? Root 3 minus root 10, then minus what? Root 6. So from here, from the second bracket, you can see that minus 1 will multiply everything in the bracket. So I have minus 1 times root 5. That's why I got the minus root 5 over here. And then minus 1 times what? Minus root 3. That one tends to a positive. And this is where you need to pay close attention over here. Is that okay? So here will be what? Minus what? Positive root what? 3. And then minus 1 times what? Positive what? Root 5. So minus 1 times what? Root 10. That one give me what? A minus root 10. And then the latter one, the final part will be what? A positive what? Root 6. Is that okay? Alright. So when you check the down one, you're having root 25 plus what? Root 15 minus what? Root 15 plus minus what? Root 9. So what is happening? You can see a positive and a negative here. Is that okay? So they can cancel out, right? These and these are the same. So of course we can subtract. When you subtract, you get 0, right? We have a condition for subtraction. You only subtract when the number under the square root signs are the same. This is a law you have to obey. If it makes sense, fine. If it doesn't make sense, maybe you have to learn the definition and pass and move on to the next level of education, and then leave everything for the advanced mathematician, whereby they can apply the theories in our daily life and engineering aspect. Okay, let's move on. Then down here you are going to left with what? Root 25 minus what? Root 9. Is that okay? So now let's continue our calculations. So here we are left with what? Just addition and subtraction. Is that okay? You ask yourself, when is it necessary for you to add and subtract instead? You can only do that if the number under the radical or a number under the set are the same. Is that okay? That is a law. If they are not the same, you can never do that. Right? It's a law. You just have to obey that. Now, so let's find if you have a friends in this group here. So let's handle the top one first, then when we are done, we move on to the down one. So at the top here, you can see that I have a root 5 here, and then let's check whether we can still have a root 5 here. Of course, everything here is what? It's in basic form, right? They are in their simple form, so you cannot find any perfect square number to split it into 2. So we are free to go. Now I have a root 5 here, so let's check if we have another root 5 here. As you can see, there's another root 5 here, so minus root 5. Let's group them. We are just going to group them. Is that okay? Go to your friends. So let's move on. So I have a root 5 minus what? A root 5 here. What about root 3? Okay, so root 3, I can also see another root 3 over here. So let's combine them. That is a positive root 3 plus what? Root 3. Don't forget that the sign in front of the number is what belongs to that number. Is that okay? What I mean by that is that here I'm having positive root 3. That's why I repeated what? Root 3 over here. And then check the second person. So the second person is also have a root 3 in front of that. That is what belongs to that person. So I have a positive root 3 over here. Now let's move on to the third one, which is what? Root minus root 10. Let's check whether this guy has a friend here. So of course you can see another minus root 10 over here. So let's group that one too. And then finally we have what? Minus root 6 here, and then you also have another positive root 6 over here. So you just have to group them. Is that okay? Group them and carry on your operations, right? So this guy and this guy, you can see that they will go away because minus 5 root 5 minus root 5, they'll become 0. So what about this? How do you add this one? You can add. Of course, you can add. The reason being is that you can see that there's a 3, there's a 3, so you can combine them together. So how do you add? So front to front, and then you repeat one of the set. That is a law. If you don't know how to do that, just check out our video on how to add and subtract and multiply set. Is that okay? It's very, very simple. If the radicals are the same, then you add a number in front of them. So there's 1 here, 1 here. That's how I got 2 here. Is that okay? So 2 what? Root what? 3. Right. So let's move on to the second part. So the second part we are having what? Minus root 10 minus what? Root 10. And this one will give me what? A minus what? Root 2 root 10. Is that okay? Can you see the reason why? Because there's a minus here, right? Minus 1 here. So this is how we subtract. You only subtract if the number under the square root are the same. Is that okay? What I mean by that, here I'm having 10, here I have 10. So in that case, we can combine them by subtraction. So minus 1 minus 1 will give us a minus 2 root 10. So what about the latter part? The latter part, you can see that they all go away. So 6 steps forward and then 6 steps backward. So that one becomes 0. Okay, so this guy goes away, this guy goes away. So you are left with what? 2 root 3 minus what? 2 root what? 10. So when you bring that everything, you see that the 2 is being divided by the 2, these two guys at the top here. So I decided to split that into 2. So 2 root what? 3 divided by 2. That's for the first one. Minus what? 2 root 10 divided by what? 2. Is that okay? So you can see that these 2 will go away, and then these 2 will go away. Then you left with what? Root 3 minus what? Root 10. So the reason I cancel this is just like something like, let's say I have 2x divided by 2. Is that okay? The 2 will cancel out, so I left it as so 2 root 3 divided by 2. The 2 will go away, they will cancel out. The same applies to the second term. That is how we got the final answer to be what? Root 3 minus what? Root 5. Don't forget to share the video, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more details. Thanks for watching.